Alright, let's talk about something that sounds like the world's most depressing reality show, Population Swap. It's a show where entire communities are told to pack their bags and move to a country they've never seen, all because some guys in fancy suits drew new lines on a map. You've probably heard of the massive, brutal exchange between Greece and Turkey after World War I, but there's a secret ingredient in that tragic stew: the Albanians. Yes, thousands of Albanians living for centuries in what is now Greece and Turkey got caught in this geopolitical meat grinder. They were the collateral damage, the footnote in an already grim chapter. This wasn't just one event. We're talking about a series of movements, a tragic trilogy of displacement. So, how did Albanians end up in Greece and Turkey in the first place? Well, it turns out people moved around a lot. For centuries, the Ottoman Empire was the big boss of the Balkans. It was a vast, multi-ethnic, multi-religious state. Albanians, Greeks, Turks, others. Albanian communities had existed in Epirus, Camarria for centuries, since the Middle Ages. They weren't invaders, they were part of the local landscape, like olive trees. In Turkey, the story is a bit different but just as deep. Many Albanians served as high-ranking officials, soldiers, administrators, not isolated ghettos, vibrant urban neighborhoods. Late 19th, early 20th centuries, everything went spectacularly wrong. Enter the Treaty of Lausanne. Now this sounds important and official, and it was. 1923, after horrific wars. Greece and Turkey sat down to sign a peace treaty. But this wasn't just any treaty, it included a special clause, a protocol that legalized ethnic cleansing. I'm not being dramatic, that's literally what it did. It called for the compulsory exchange of Turkish nationals of the Greek Orthodox religion established in Turkish territory, Greek nationals of the Muslim religion established in Greek territory. A simple, clean, utterly monstrous idea. It defined people not by ethnicity or language, but by religion alone. If you were an Orthodox Christian living in Turkey, you were now Greek, even if your family spoke Turkish for generations. The Albanian Chams get screwed. So on paper they were Turks. Pack your bags. They pleaded with the international community, sent petitions to the League of Nations, but nobody listened. Imagine being told you have to leave your home forever. Not because you did anything wrong, but because of a treaty signed by people you'll never meet. This was the reality for the Albanians caught in the Lausanne Exchange. They had to abandon everything. Their houses, their farms, their olive groves, their mosques, the graves of their ancestors. They were allowed to take only what they could carry. A lifetime of possessions, memories, community ties, condensed into a few suitcases. When they arrived in Turkey, they weren't exactly welcomed. They were strangers in a new land. They were given the property of other refugees, stepping into homes of people who had just suffered the same fate. They didn't speak the language, they didn't know the customs. The exchange didn't just move people, it actively dismantled their culture. During and after World War II, the remaining Cham Albanians in Greece were accused of collaborating with the Axis powers. So what's left of all this today? Well, mostly a whole lot of silence. In Greece, the story of the Cham Albanians is either completely ignored or told through a nationalistic lens that paints them as traitors, painted as Turkish collaborators. The loudest echoes are heard in Albania, where the Cham issue is a major political and social topic. They demand recognition, the right of return and restitution for their lost properties. It is a raw, open wound in Albanian politics and a major point of contention in Albanian-Greek relations. They are the keepers of a memory that others have tried so hard to erase. And this is where we end up. The legacy of the Lausanne Treaty and the subsequent expulsions isn't just about the past, it's about how nations choose to remember and what they choose to forget. The story of the Albanians of Greece and Turkey is a reminder that history is always written by the victors, and the footnotes, the people who didn't fit the narrative, are often the ones who paid the highest price. And that, right there, is a tragedy worth remembering.